right, thank you for joining me for another Selfish Saturday. Today I want to talk to you about the soft life. What does that mean to you? I had been seeing this term on social media, the soft life, for like a couple of years ago. I noticed it and I decided to look it up, and I found that, guess what? The soft life is the life I've been living and didn't even know there was a term for it. So it's my understanding that this soft life term started in Nigeria and just spread through social media, and now we're hearing about it, over here in the US, and we're like kind of confused as to what it means. So I just wanted to shed some light on that, because I like living a soft life, and I don't like the fact that some people think it's a bad thing. I mean, I feel sorry for y'all if you do think it's a bad thing, because it don't make no sense to me. I think living a soft life is just having more happiness, more joy, more peace. If you want to incorporate luxury into that, that's great. If not, fine. But really the main thing is about living a life that pleases you, makes you happy, and allows you to be your best you. So what could possibly be wrong with that? I think back a long time ago, me and one of my girlfriends had this conversation about how we grew up, basically with two parents who loved us, took care of us, sheltered us, protected us, and as the world would say, spoiled us. And I think that's kind of what you would call a soft life, where you're well taken care of. You don't have hard times. You live well, you're happy, you get what you want, you do what you want, and you're just enjoying life. So that's kind of how I grew up. And my girlfriend and I were having this conversation about like how so many people thought that was a bad thing. And at some point we decided, you know what? Why is that a bad thing? I feel like growing up like that was an example that was created for me to go out into the world and continue that for myself, and then also empower other people to do the same. So when I think of soft life, I think of a life where you're happy, a life where you're not stressed, where you're breezing through life, you're enjoying life. I'll explain it a little better by sharing 3 things that a lot of people do create in their own lives to make things hard that it just doesn't have to be. So that's the exact opposite of creating a soft life. So the number one thing that I think people do to create more of a hardness in their life than a softness is in your relationships. All right. A relationship can be a real source of pain a lot of times. And it just doesn't have to be. And I'm talking about relationships, all relationships, but I'm talking about particularly those that you have to see all the time. I'm not talking about parents that you moved away from and you don't really see them or talk to them, but people you work with every day, people you live in the house with, family members that you may have to see often, neighbors that you have to see or deal with often. A lot of times you can change things in those relationships and make your own life softer. Okay, and there's 2 ways that I'm going to tell you that you can practice this out tomorrow on the person that gets on your nerves the most. Okay, and the first is, what are you focusing on? What is that person doing that is just irritating the hell out of you? And is that the thing you're focused on? Because I bet you there's so many more things that are positive about that person that you could choose to focus on. So you get to choose. Am I going to focus on, like, for example, I'm gonna give you my example. I just moved into my home, beautiful, love the neighborhood. The neighbors are great. And there's this one dog right across from my door who just barks all freaking time. It's ridiculous. Am I going to focus on that? Or am I going to focus on all of the other peaceful and wonderful things about where I am now in my life, where I'm living, my house? Which one am I going to choose to focus on? So what are you focusing on? Is it the irritating thing about that person that you work with, or that person that you live with, or the parent? Even if the parent is out of town, they call you and get on your nerves. What are you focusing on? Change that and try to work to focus on the positive, because I don't even think that person would be in your life if there wasn't one positive thing about them. All right, and the other thing that you may need to change is just the fact that they're in your life, what you can get out of that. Observe them, because they may very well be the example of what you don't want to be. So observe them. I used to have someone in my life who was a woman who was quite a bit older than me, and she was my supervisor. And it was interesting that our lives were very parallel. We had gone to the same college and just kind of had a lot of similarities. But I was beginning my career and she was moving towards retirement. But this lady was so nasty to me, just downright really nasty. And what I realized was she was bitter because she saw the potential in me. She saw probably what she could have been doing. So I'm like, the job that she had, I'm coming in right out of college with this job, whereas she is there, at retirement time with the same job. So I had to look at it as she was an example of what I don't want to be. Don't stay your tail here too long in this job and end up a bitter old broad. Okay? So I had to look at her as an example, because I honestly, I couldn't remember too much positive there, but I had to see where I don't want to go with my life, who I don't want to be. So a lot of times the nasty people in your lives, the nasty people who are in your life are a lot of times there as a mirror so you can see what you don't want to be. The number 2 thing that you could possibly be doing that's making your life unnecessarily hard is playing Superwoman. Are you being Superwoman? Are you trying to do everything without getting any help? You probably got a good job and could pay somebody to do some of the things that you do, but for some reason, you either don't want to spend the money or want to take credit for doing all these things when you could be accepting help or paying for help and having a little more balance in your life and enjoying your life and softening your life. So if your time is being used with doing all this work, right? Say you have this job where you work 40 plus hours, and then you come home and you're a mom and you're a cook and you're a housekeeper and you're the taxi and you're the hairdresser and so many different things. There's something in there that you could probably get some help or pay for some help. If you're working those kind of hours, you should have some money to pay for some help. Otherwise, that's a whole nother conversation. We need to talk about your career change. But if you are doing so much that you're not saving any time for yourself, you're creating hardness in your own life. So soften it up by getting yourself some help and allowing yourself to get some rest. I think about baths. I love taking baths. And a lot of people have all these big, beautiful bathtubs and these jetted tubs, and they don't use them. Use your tub, sis. That's your time out. I always hear people say, oh, I don't have time for baths. But you make time for everything else. And that's making your life hard when you give yourself and your time to everything and everybody else, but you don't save any for yourself. So run yourself a bath. If you have a big bathtub that you never use, go use that tub. Run yourself a nice warm bath. Get you some Epsom salts. Put some Thompson Ferrier candles in the bathroom to give yourself that nice scent. Allow yourself to take a nap. That's another thing. I take naps during the day. I don't care. I take naps. And I hear people making fun of taking naps. Like, why? What why is your business, right? If you need a nap, if you need some rest, take a nap, take a time out, do what you gotta do to soften your own life. The third thing I want to mention that people tend to do to create more hardness in their life instead of softness is lowering their standards. Lowering your standards. So the two things that come to mind when I say that, one is living in a way that meets someone else's standards. So if someone says, for example, oh, I wouldn't leave that job. That job is this and that and this and that. So you're going to lower your standards to meet theirs. If you choose to listen to them, take that advice and stay on this job that you know is stressing you out. Okay? Yeah, it's paying great, but money is not everything. Your peace. What about your peace, your joy, your happiness? That other person, they're not living your life for you. I don't care how close they are to you. They could be your best friend. They could be your husband, whoever. They're not living your life. They're not in your skin, so they don't know how you feel when you go to a job where, I don't know, you're humiliated or you're overworked or you're underutilized, whatever the case is. You need to make sure that you're following your own standard for that career, that partner, that place where you live, that relationship, whatever it is. Pay attention to your own needs and not the needs of someone else. Another reason that people tend to lower their standards is a lack of faith. When you don't think that you can have what you want, you don't have enough faith in yourself to believe that you can be and have what you want and create the life that you want, you lower your standards. So build up your faith. Whatever way you choose, that's on you. One way I know that you can build up your self-confidence is watch the way you talk to yourself, which leads me to the second half. I want to talk about the 3 things that you can do to create more softness in your life. One is definitely your mindset. Watch how you talk to yourself. Like the things that some people will say to themselves, and I know I've done it. I haven't done it in like 10, 15 years. It's been that long since I learned the importance of that inner voice. But some people, the way they talk to themselves, you wouldn't have a friend in the world if you talk to them the way that you allow yourself to talk to yourself. So negative self-talk is something that absolutely has to go if you want to create more softness in your life. All right, the second thing you can do to bring more softness into your life is to detox your mindset. So that's going to come from removing negativity in your timeline on social media, watching the news less. Like you come home, make it a habit of looking at the news every night, or you get up every morning, got to look at the news, got to know what's going on in the world. You probably overdoing it. If you are addicted to the news, you probably need to back off of that some. And sometimes you need to limit time that you spend with people who are negative, because we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So if you have people in your inner circle and they are always complaining and always bringing the bad news, always mad about something, you might want to spend less time with them. All right, so I've told you, 1, to have more positive self-talk. 2, detox basically your surroundings that affect your mindset, as far as, the things you're listening to, the people you're listening to. The third thing I'm going to say is to detox your whole environment, and that includes decluttering in your home, and that includes cleaning up your diet, and that just includes just the way you're living your life. Bringing more order, that's definitely going to give you more peace. Okay, so there you have it. You have 3 ways that you could possibly be making your life harder, which is so not necessary. And you have 3 ways to make your life softer. I thank you for tuning in this Saturday. I want you to go and have a soft life, have a soft weekend, and I'll see you next Saturday.